Can you hear me?
I can indeed hear you. Let's
Fantastic.
let's turn your volume up a little, all the way to 200%, because you're a 200% man. Hello there, Mr. Squirrel Dude. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Mr. Bizzle?
I am excellent. I am watching other people play Blood Bowl, and therefore I don't have to do it myself. What
Mm-hmm.
more do I need to ask for? How do you feel about these two teams?
I'm a bit disappointed that there isn't tentacles on the Tomb Guardians. However, it does feel like a pretty rough matchup for the Birds, who are going to struggle to really aggressively attack the ball, though they do have the Dauntless to try and punch up a little bit. Khemri are going to be pretty good in any matchup or any format where you just get to put all your skills on Tomb Guardians, which is actually pretty hard to do when you're playing the team in a regular format.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. It's really nice to have 4 Tomb Guardians with both Mighty Blow and Guard. But it's really sucky to have 4 Tomb Guardians with no skills.
Obviously, at 0 TV, or 1,000 team value, it's pretty easy to with Tomb Guardians just because no one can really deal with them. But once you start getting Guard, it really becomes kind of frustrating that they aren't running assists like other big guys. But in this format, you don't have that issue. They're hitting just like mummies. They're providing guard assists just like mummies. The only difference between them and mummies is that Tomb Guardians are faster and have a dicky skill that won't impact them in any meaningful way this format.
Right. This is res, of course, so decay has no effect whatsoever. So we're starting to see Seanyy doesn't seem afraid to get into a hand-to-hand brawl here. He's got a lot of people marked. And Tomb Guardians are well, they're pretty well coordinated. They're not all right on top of each other, but they're close enough that if necessary, they can support each other. And they're keeping the brets away from the ball carrier. It's not a
screening, and it's a very classic. You have a cage, and then you screen the cage with your Tomb Guardians so that you can't. There's not really a direct way to put pressure on, and Dauntless is already starting to do stuff, just getting it knocked down.
I think Seanyy called this the worst possible matchup earlier. I'm not sure. I do like having Dauntless. It's sure it's a 3+ straight up to hit a Tomb Guardian, but it's a lot better than trying to find 3 assists out of somewhere.
I feel like Dolores might have been a worse matchup simply because you don't have Dauntless as a way to punch up, and even with your guard, they're also hitting you back with Almighty Blow, and like Jim's, especially with the tentacles, I think would have been a slightly worse matchup. But this is. And hybrid teams typically don't really enjoy their matches against high bash, and Khemri are the definition of that. So I can understand the problems.
Well, as long as he's able to keep all 4 Tomb Guardians in this nice sort of arc here and not let anyone get through, then he's going to be pretty safe, and he's making great progress. It's only turn 3, and he's going to have the ball probably, if he wants to, he can move up 4 or 5 squares. It's a little risky because this Tomb Guardian here at the front is going to be based, so it's probably safer to keep the ball a little bit farther back rather than move all the way up here. All right, this feels like he's gone too far forward. You've just got a Dauntless hit to get the Tomb Guardian out of the way. Maybe do it with this guy. You can block that fellow over here, and you can run right through it. I guess maybe he's hoping to blitz with this blitz raw and then push him farther up as part of the screen, but you hate to use your blitz raw at the top of the screen where he's a target himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's walked all the way around. Maybe he's got a chain push in mind. So it's cost him a reroll because he had to do a GFI to get to this square, but he is going to chain this player back. So it's actually turned out a little safer, especially because it set up another block here. I thought he might have hit this player instead.
I don't think I'm super excited about being down to 1 reroll with 5 turns left to play. Pretty safe there considering the stun.
Yeah.
Yeoman, he should be fine.
So. Yeah, he's far enough forward that if things get in too much trouble, you can always just score a little early. That won't be ideal. Brett's actually pretty good at scoring quickly when they have to. They're sneaky fast. Blitzers, of course, movement 7. And they all have catch, so it's just a couple of 1 and 9s to do a handoff.
With a couple of with a couple of insane 1 DBs, with Dauntless on the Tomb Guardian and Dauntless on the other Tomb Guardian, there was a 3+ dodge. I'm sorry, a 4+ dodge for 1 dice on the ball, I think, or -2. So there wasn't anything on this. So because usually you wouldn't want a base, but even if you got POWs on both of those blocks, it would have been safe. It's a pretty good time there, or example there when basing the cage is okay because you've positioned well enough. There isn't anything on, even after knockdowns.
Yeah, it's a general rule, and you don't want to ever have your cage based. And when you're playing 1-minute turns, sometimes you have to lean on general rules a little bit more than you might otherwise.
Really, in most situations, a based cage isn't going to be that dangerous. It's really going to allow more than a 1 dice block. The problem is that in critical situations, when opponents are looking for any chance on the ball, it's extremely dangerous. And, hey, -2 dice blocks are safe sometimes.
Right. Well, it was a Dauntless fail, but worked out for him.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the playing by general rules, because you don't have much time coin, is that Seanyy was maybe not too anxious to try anything crazy there, because he would have had to take a lot of time to work out just how hard it would have been to push these Tomb Guardians out of the way, how hard a dice it would have been to make the blocks and the dodges, and maybe it's not even worth it, and you just try and bring some guys back to defend.
This is a relatively tricky turn for khemri, and this is where khemri can struggle. It's really their offense that can get bogged down, because Tomb Guardians are great, but if they're all base, they're not. You want them to be kind of, at least, maybe move 1 or 2 squares to keep moving up the ball, but here they can't really do that. They're all stuck on players that they're going to want to block. Especially on that peasant on the left side. If he rolls pushes, well, now he just has freed up peasant, and it's just going to run around and be movement 6 somewhere and providing an assist like a normal Tomb Guardian would be.
Well,
overall, I think it's going to be pretty hard, in particular for that Claw Mighty Blow Blitz Rod to actually get hidden.
He's actually in scoring range right now. He doesn't have to really move up much farther. Obviously, you'd like to get 2 squares closer, so you're not GFIing. And the block against that he's taking right now against this guy means he has a chain push somewhere. It depends what he wants to do. He's just going to push the guy on the ground. But maybe he could have pushed this fellow back a little bit.
I'm a bit surprised he took that action. Yeah, I was expecting. Okay, so he's going to blitz that player instead. Okay, that is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, blitzing the 2 heads man at the top. Because this guy's a little dangerous right now where you are.
I was expecting him to have pushed the Claw Mighty Blow away from his Blitz Rod. I guess he wants to hit that guy instead with his Blitz Rod on 2 dice. I'm very confused by that play. I thought for sure he was going to go after Claw Mighty Blow blocker, leaving him in contact like that.
I think you might want to be maybe 1 step forward with the ball carrier if you can execute that in 1 second.
Yeah, I think so. I think 1 step forward is fine.
Well, he ran out of time.
Still doing GFIs to score, so maybe he doesn't see it as really worth just being a bit closer.
I'd much rather have 1 than 2 if you got to make GFIs. Because there's a good chance that Seany's going to end this turn with at least a couple of guys in front here. He won't be able to get his players in front of the ball in mass, just because there were a couple of people knocked down. But this player is free to move. He's going to push this guy into here and then just get an extra block. It's not clear who you blitz.
Pretty disappointing for both coaches so far.
You can't really even free up one of these players with a blitz because they're all marked twice. You may just have to try and dodge some of these guys away from the Tomb Guardians. Bring them up here. On the other hand, you might just leave everybody on the Tomb Guardians so that at least they can't move. Right, if these Tomb Guardians are all stuck, then it's kind of hard to put a lot of players around the ball. Now that's always a difficult decision. You can dodge your guys away. You can make this 1 dice block just to shove them a square. But all it really does is free him up to move.
Yeah, I think because he was already pretty like, okay, so he's gonna just stay in contact anyway. I don't know. I think I'd want to dodge this other blocker away. Yeah. If there was -2 dice there, and that is -2 dice is less likely to fail than a 3+ roll, but those 6 squares of movement were way more valuable.
Right, it's much nicer to have this guy with guard all the way up here where he can defend. And the Tomb Guardian was stuck anyway on a lineman. And that's what you do with brets. You use your lineman disposably. Seanyy does have 13, so he can afford to lose a few. And so far, facing a team with 6 Mighty Blow, all he's lost is 1 KO'd lineman through 4 turns. So that's pretty successful.
Against this much Mighty Blow, and it's extremely successful. It only lost that few players. The Crucifer doesn't really, I would say, it doesn't really maximize blocks, and also the amount of blodge makes it pretty difficult. It's got some rotten dice as well. It's like the biggest detriment is they're just never going to have a block, and they're always going to be unreliable. As powerful as they are, they're always going to be powerful and unreliable, and eventually just aren't that powerful compared to Claw Mighty Blow teams.
He hasn't really been able to get his Tomb Guardians all together enough where they can use their guard to get 3 dice blocks. I don't think he's thrown a single 3 dice block yet. Maybe on turn 1 in the line of scrimmage, but that's about it. I know in my experience, once you've got your khemri with guard on everybody, you really want to be 3 dicing people. So it's a double removal.
And you aren't bringing back a peasant. You have 2 spares. It's fine.
Yeah, of course. The much more important loss is the KO'd Tomb Guardian. You're hoping to get him back, but you never know. Seanyy
I think if that had been a yeoman, I think even with you might have gone for it, even with the 50-50 chance it doesn't come back, just because the guard is so much more valuable in this matchup. But a peasant, you're not saving. Obviously, khemri don't have the opportunity.
Yeah. There's also a pretty good chance that this goes to overtime, so you don't have to be in too much of a hurry to use your Apo on something like a KO early. Sure, it gives you a guaranteed return instead of trying to hit a couple of 4+ rolls. But you'll have more chances to use it later.
Yeah, Seany's found a way on the ball for 1 dice. Big removal for the birds.
Yeah, this will be 1 dice with wrestle. Did Crucifer really need to bring his player with the ball more inside? Oh, he's actually going to get 2 dice with wrestle. He's got
Guard's a good skill. There's the first reroll for Seanyy, and wrestle does a trick.
That's a pretty good scatter for Crucifer, though. And can't really get to it.
Yeah, I mean, the ball being on the ground is always a bit worrisome for khemri, but it's just not the worst place for it.
It's also it's early enough that they have enough time to recover, just barely. 3 turns, sure, he's going to have to spend 1 turn just picking the ball up, and now he's going to be running short of time. But he still has plenty of time. If this had happened on turn 7, he'd be in a lot of trouble because he might not have enough time to get himself back into scoring range.
There's definitely that's a big removal there. I know there's a school of thought, and I've seen Artemis say it, and I've seen Jim say it, and a good coach will tell you that you can just kind of dirtle about in the midfield for a couple of turns, but I think khemri might be the exception to that, just because if you lose the ball, you really need to have a turn or 2 to cushion yourself, to get yourself a chance to pick the ball back up.
Right.
And move back up forward. Like dwarves, it's Agi 3. They've got Agi 3 sure hands, and they are moving 6, so most of the time they can get the ball and get back up the field, but it's a lot spookier with khemri and their 75% chance to pick up.
Right. There's also, there's nobody you can hand the ball off to, really. He only has 1 throw raw, and of course, if he had a second one, it would be agility 2 and harder to hand off to. Although I guess in that case, you take the guy who was carrying the ball and run him forward, and you try to hand him the ball later.
As you said earlier, I am a bit surprised that we haven't seen more of armor value 7 teams, simply because Claw Mighty Blow is going to be categorically worse in those matchups than Mighty Blow Tackle would have been. And a lot of teams are probably going to end up having Mighty Blow Tackle or Mighty Blow Claw as opposed to Mighty Blow Tackle, and then a Palmer for general use. So
right. Basically, every single team has at least one Claw Mighty Blow.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to joke, oh, armor 7, it makes Claw useless. Well, sure, it does. But it's still armor 7. That's why, Pupok is playing Norse. And I think that's a pretty good call for this. But he's the only one. And there's only one elf team out of 16. Which is an Aryan, of course.
Yeah, usually the joke about, it doesn't really make Claw worse. It just means that in most formats, it means that every team is Claw against you. But in a format where there are, a limited number of skills that every team has, at that point, it is a more interesting choice as opposed to like open matchmaking or League, where it's like, you took Claw, now you're batting is not really something. It's like, all right, I'm just going to take Tackle next anyway. It's not actually a problem for anyone.
Yeah, there is very little Tackle in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a couple of teams take just one random tackle here and there on a player that isn't really their killer, so not the guy they're going to be blitzing with very often anyway. And then, of course, there are 2 dwarf teams. But other than that, not much tackle anywhere, and we didn't really see a lot of blodge spam. I think the closest you get is is some of these Bretonnian teams where you have sometimes as many as 4 blodgers. Does Seanyy have blodge on all 4 of his guys? His
yes,
blitzers?
He
does, yes. There's one Brett team that only has 3, and a third that I just don't remember. But generally, when you're playing Brets, dodge is one of the first skills you'll take on all 4 of your blitzers. So here's where Crucifer has problems. He still needs to get into scoring range because he lost some time there with the ball getting sacked.
Yeah, he's going to have to get some pows here. That's a really big pow.
Yeah.
Because it pushes there just for not enough.
Right. I don't really like blitzing with this guy just because if you don't get a pow,
I don't like blitzing
push
and
him
not
off the ball.
following. I don't know why he didn't follow. Not following there seems
he's keeping these other guys extra marked.
But, now I don't know where the ball goes that this blocker can't just get to him again.
Maybe he's going to hope for a Tomb Guardian dodge, or no, he's just going to base the ball. This seems a little desperate. It's going to take some bad dice for Seanyy not to just knock the ball down again.
Yeah, I mean, Seanyy just has his base, the skeleton, and he's a 1 dice, and then he can just dodge with dodge for 2. Or dodge with a wrestler for 2 with wrestle.
Right.
Or just for 2, yeah, I don't... Like Crucifer. Yeah, he's going to go with the 2. Then he can block. Looks like, he's going to get a block into a chain for another hit.
Yeah, push this guy back this way somewhere. Push here, follow. This guy with guard is still being an assist. He's got a second block here, and he still hasn't even had to dodge the blitz. And there goes the ball.
And he does have a sure hands nearby to pick up the ball.
He's not scoring himself. Well, he does have this guy who could make a dodge later on and get down here in scoring range. Yeah, so we might be in danger of Seanyy actually scoring, unless he 1-9s it. Crucifer has very little chance of scoring from here. So successful defense, probably. You can still knock this guy down, and then you have...
into the next half. I think at this point, I don't think it's very likely that Seanyy scores. I don't think it's very likely. So at this point, we're looking at a draw going into the second half. And khemri are better on defense. Always, always, always. High strike teams typically are. Lizardmen are complete monsters on defense. Khemri are great on defense. Undead can be pretty good on defense. Orcs are better on defense. I think that's going to get Apo if it's just badly hurt. Yeah. Also, that's unfortunate. Fortunate both of those were MNGs that one, but yeah, that had to get APO'd even with the MNG.
Well, now he's got a... Yeah, okay, he still has this, but I think he's got a Blitz from this square, which means an extra GFI. No problem. Push this guy out of the way, and then he's got a chance to try and score with this skeleton. Right, he'll come over here, pick the ball up. It's at least one GFI. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 GFIs.
Yes, that's okay. Yeah, that's skeleton.
Yeah, so 4-2-2 to score anyway. Having already used his reroll, he's not even going to try it.
Very surprised.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point was there.
And
4-2-2, not that unlikely. What's it, like 35-40%-ish?
This is just getting your Blitz raw served for some reason.
I guess so.
I don't understand. I mean, if you fail, the Blitz raw gets served, but like, yeah, Seany's just immediately going to take this chance to get the best, one of the most threatening players off the field.
I mean, Crucifer did everything to clear his path to go pick the ball up and score, and then just didn't even try it. But I don't have an explanation for that, I'm afraid. This guy never got away from his Tomb Guardian, so no scoring threat here, so it's going to be scoreless to halftime.
Yeah, has a Blitz 1DB for another search chance, does not get it. Has to eat the skull. Notable though, so, you know. Yeah, I mean, Crucifer really left himself open there to have, you know, some bad luck, and suddenly he's down like 3 more players.
All right. He's still
that was a bit strange. Without even having a chance of the touchdown for the change for that. Like, it was an odd choice.
Let's switch sides. What's it? Still going to be 11 on 11. Crucifer is down a Tomb Guardian. Did not come back from the KO, so that's going to be huge. Actually, I'm sorry. Seanyy only has 10 now, right? Started with 13. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 against 11, but only 3 Tomb Guardians. Anybody's game. You'd have to like the Bretonnians from here, having stopped Tomb Guardians on their offense. But as you said before, khemri, they can be a tough nut to crack on D.
Mm-hmm. I think that Crucifer's playing pretty conservative here, making sure that there isn't a very easy calamity blow blitz onto his Tomb Guardians, which is reasonable. I would probably lean towards overtime of all results at this point, more so than a clear winner in regular time. I think it's just going to be hard. khemri are very hard to score against, and basically Seany's going to be playing 9 on 11 on his offensive drive since he's down a player. So, and one of those players will be down, will be another blodger. So that's going to be a pretty big loss compared to his defense.
It's going to take a catastrophe for Seanyy to get scored against. So he's kind of playing with house money a little bit in that regard. Yeah,
that is the thing that a lot of slow teams have to worry about on their offense, is that they can't really take risks. Every early removal here is pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, to continue the thought is that they can't take risks because they not only do they struggle to score back in scrums, as we just saw, but if there's a real chance that they just lose the game.
Yeah.
So
they're not capable of causing a turnover score. And Seanyy just even the numbers up with his very first block. So
yeah, that's the thing with khemri, right? Is khemri are a bash team that have armor value 7 linemen who will can just melt at certain moments of the games. Just completely leave the field.
Yeah, you don't expect quite so many KOs with a lot of thick skull, but you know, they're still
you
armor
expect
7.
to be down numerically players in a lot of turns, but you rely on having 4 strength 5. That means that and tying up multiple players so that you balance out those numbers effectively.
All right, so very good first turn for Seanyy. He's got the ball safe. He's got a nice wall of guys. Everybody on his team is safe. At worst, somebody does a blitz around to push this lineman into this crowd of players, but even that seems unlikely. So it looks like what we're going to see is just let's base some guys and hope for the best. And you still do have the Claw Mighty Blow Blitz. It doesn't work this time, but you're going to have to keep trying. It's probably a little early for Crucifer to panic, of course. It's the first turn of the half. But at some point, he's got to start thinking, how can I make something happen? You can't just sit back as well. Because you're just not fast enough to deal with Bretonnians running around. Where will this third Tomb Guardian end up? I don't know who you're basing. You're either going to put him right here in the middle of all these guys, or you put him here. This is a little risky, right? Because you're just taking Dauntless blocks.
Yeah, I mean, Seanny's had pretty solid Dauntless blocks so far, and that not only has his Dauntless mostly worked out, but when it hasn't, he hasn't rolled a turnover. I think chasing that block on the Peasant is pretty good, and he's kept his Blitz rolls freed up, so it makes sense in that regard. Foul-free game, too, considering the two teams that are on the field, in khemri and Bretonnians, who both tend towards fouling more than other teams.
Hasn't really been a lot of opportunities either. I mean, we haven't.
No.
I don't think I've seen a single spot where like, oh, that guy's gonna get fouled. Now the Brets are, they're down to 10 for the game. They may be not in a big hurry to foul anybody anyway.
Hey guys.
I'm a little surprised he wanted to dodge there instead of just taking more blocks.
I think he was bringing him over to generate a 2-dice block on the guard Tomb Guardian with the blocker.
To bring him here as an assist. Yeah, that's possible.
Mm-hmm. And then probably just dodge out with the other on one after that block had been taken. There.
There's Armor 7 holding up nicely against Mighty Blow. So we finally got to see a nice 3-dice block. And it was the third dice.
Yeah, I know. I would have liked for that Tomb Guardian to have been able to shift back closer towards the middle, especially with the swan on the right, most likely already going to start caving in. There's any attempt to flank back, even with just a push. Would have liked that Tomb Guardian to get a bit closer to the middle to threaten more. But it's going to be pretty rough stuff already next turn when this Tomb Guardian just gets a push on this blocker.
Yeah, there's enough khemri force on the left that you probably have to think about swinging back to the middle with the ball. But that's not perfectly safe either. And yes, Seanyy did stop the khemri drive, knocked the ball out twice. Second time around, Crucifer had a 4+2+2+ to try and pick it up and score on turn 8, but opted not to go for it. So here we are, scoreless into the second half. And now on Seanny's offense. It is 10 against 10. The one really big removal is that one of the Tomb Guardians was knocked out in the first half, did not come back for the second. So Crucifer is playing with only 3, and that's always tricky. Khemri, if there's one thing that's going to make khemri fall apart, it's not having all 4 of their Tomb Guardians. You can kind of make do with 3 once you get down to 2. You're in huge trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Some really big knockdowns here. If things go well, and continue to do so, you can even put the ball somewhere safe around here-ish. Well, listen with the ball carrier is interesting. And the push is kind of sad, but that means this guy is free and will come over and lock down the skeleton, and then you just get a bit of a potato going on.
The lack of... I don't know if you can lock down... Yeah. It's a big-time wrestle. Big.
Yeah, you'll be able
Because
now
now
to base this
can
skeleton
stand over the top. Yeah, now the other person can come around and stand over the top of this Blitz raw.
Right, you'll have to come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up here to protect the ball. You might even GFI it. You know what? Well, you really can't. You have to keep this guy.
Yeah, dodge out with this guy. There it is.
So what does he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess you can make a dodge with him. No, you can't anymore because that's cut off. All right, this actually looks reasonably safe.
Breaks not having those stuns means that they can't. Those two skeletons can't even really tie up players next turn. The Tomb Barons are all spread out all of a sudden, and all the Blitz rods are knocked on the ground. So it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
They can't just block.
This guy is free to come over and at least try and sort of maybe get in a little bit of position, but this one's out of the game. This one's stuck behind, and well, he's out for now, but maybe next turn.
It's a 1 dice on the ball, but there's no recovery afterwards. Yeah, he needed a pal there to get... Actually, a pal there wouldn't have even generated a 2 dice block because of Finn.
And right, this guy's still stuck. Oh, but this player can come here, not to here. Well, no, you can block from either of these squares. So it's 4, 5, 6.
Turn is really going to be... Or next turn isn't going to be Seanyy for scoring. He's pretty well locked into scoring. Trick now is figuring out how he can stall.
Yeah, I don't think he minds scoring too early. Crucifer's team is not built to score quickly. You still hate to give him 4 or 5 turns, but I think you'd like your chances a lot more than you would against a lot of other teams.
The first 3-4 turns of his offensive drive were good. His trouble came in when he had to start trying to slow himself down, and he suddenly got himself a bit stretched out.
Yeah, that tends to happen. You get too far forward too fast, and it was still pretty nice to get forward. 3, 4, 5, 6. Just push him to scoring range, so you can't really be helped. So at worst, he's got a 1-9 to just walk into the end zone. I think maybe what you do is you take this guy who's free, blitz away, blitz raw. Maybe if you're lucky, you knock him down. You tie this guy on the sideline again, and then you can run up here somewhere and stall for another turn. You might also just blitz yourself free afterwards. You could try it the block with a lineman to push this guy away, and then just blitz yourself free like this. You don't get to surf anybody, but you do get free and you can run away.
Looks like Seanyy might have found a way to do it and get a surf. If he wants, anyway. Yeah, there's a way to do this to get himself freed and get a surf.
You can bring this guy to here. No, you really can't with that guy. Maybe you could dodge GFI. I don't like that.
You can bring the peasant over to the left side. Yeah, he's not going to go for it. What you do is you move the peasant over to the left of the ball carrier, and then you blitz
from this square.
Below the palmer with
right,
and then you run back up.
In my mind, I was still working on trying to blitz with the ball carrier, so that of course not possible. And now he's got plenty of stall. The Tomb Guardian can't go very far.
Dodges at the end of this turn because why not? On these dodges at this point, there's very little of anything that can come up that will be a problem.
Yeah, just make some 2-edge moves. That's probably what you have to do, really, because this guy could kind of come close to threatening the ball, but now he doesn't have anything.
I might have wanted to. I see why he's basing 2 down players with this blocker this turn. That's pretty good to have 2 skeletons marked. I would have been tempted to have marked the throw raw as well. As a GFI to mark the Palmer as well. So yeah, he's just content to mark the 2 down players because that's a pretty good. That's generally one of the first things you learn is just to mark down players because they can't really fight back at all.
And it's going to take him at least another turn or two to get players far enough back to threaten Seanyy.
Yeah.
The throw rock can come up to around here somewhere, but the Tomb Guardians are pretty slow. They're not going to get very far. These guys are still kind of stuck.
Really be able to get around the ball.
Yeah.
And as a group until probably turn 13.
Yeah, very looking very grim for the khemri at this point.
Yeah, they really need the brets to be scoring next turn at the latest.
Which they might have to do.
A couple important rules here, though, especially with another KO roll for the khemri. I'm not sure the birds are going to be forced to score next turn. I think they can get, without too much trouble, another stall off. Though these POWs are really impactful.
Oh, hello there, Jim and folks.
Yeah.
I'm guessing things may not have gone very well for poor Mr. James Fantastic. If he's already given up on streaming and is now hosting us. But hi, everybody. We're watching Seanyy and Crucifer. Crucifer playing khemri was unable to score on his offense in the first half. Seanyy playing the brets in the second half and now made a breakthrough, and he's killing as much time as he can before he scores. Inevitably, Crucifer is going to have to try and score with 3 or 4 turns at most. And khemri team, no khemri team really likes that situation. Cruz has certainly not built for fast scoring.
Big removal.
So it's looking pretty good for Seanyy right now.
Honestly, the removal there's not that impactful, but getting the POW to free up that blocker is really big.
Yeah. See, now this guy can come all the way back to here. You can put this player over here somewhere. The blocker can come up here.
It's very hard for Seanyy to get a proper 3-man screen of some form, and now it's pretty trivial.
Yeah, you won't have to be scoring this turn. Oh, he's chosen to do so anyway.
He does decide. Right, it looks like the Tomb Guardian, since the Tomb Guardian could get freed up, the Tomb Guardian was just going to get onto his ball. He didn't want to get pressured by that, which...
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. How are the KO rolls going to roll?
Doing like a handoff to the 2-heads guy, because then a dodge out is not really that worrisome, and you have the catch reroll as well. I might have considered doing that to get yourself an easier dodge in the case that you needed to dodge to score, and to decrease and make khemri need to score on 3, not 4, which is pretty significant at this point. A difference, especially when their KO recoveries are pretty big with the Tomb Guardian coming back.
Yeah, KO rolls excellent for the khemri. They're back up to 11. They're full complement of 4 Tomb Guardians. The one thing they're missing is the Palm Blitz Rod, but it's a bit of a luxury at this point. You can't really afford to be palming when you need to score quickly. Seanyy, on the other hand, failed a couple of KO rolls. These are just linemen that are out, but he's missing a blitzer, he's missing a blocker, and he's only got 8 players. So he's 3 men down.
Now, deep kick is still pretty much dead. Like, the difference, I think, to illustrate the difference between 3 and 4 is that with 4, a deep kick is troublesome. With 3, a deep kick is kind of death.
Yeah.
For khemri, like, just a deep kick is just kind of game over. It's basically a 1 in 4 or so chance that it's just dead. Their drive's just dead. Now it's annoying, but they can still get all the way up the field.
Seanyy once again getting another extra free reroll. The touchback hurts. So
what's wrong?
Yeah, 4 turns, a touchback, and a 3-man advantage. Crucifer's got to be a little nervous, but this is probably about the best he could have hoped for, given the first 4 turns of this half. The offset defenses means these guys are going to get pounded, and then there's going to be a nice path up the sideline. Poor handsome Earl, it will no longer be charming Bretonnian ladies, and suddenly 4 men down. And suddenly 5 men down. So the decision to score, we thought was a little bit of a conservative one. Seanyy not looking nearly as strong as he did just about a minute and a half ago. Six mighty blow on this khemri team. 5 of it's on the field, and all of a sudden it's kicking in hard.
Any successful blocking game is rarely less, is very often not the number of skills you have, but the number of blocks you get. So just Crucifer, it just built up over time, and there's always the snowball effect where once you start getting cast rolling, it's easier because it's easier to generate blocks, easier to generate 3-dice blocks, and sometimes it's easier to foul as well. So it's not going to get better.
No,
it's going to be very hard now for Seanyy to fight back like he could in the beginning of the game. Or block and a wrestle, it's going to be rough.
It looks like this last Tomb Guardian is going to come up here and blitz this guy.
Fuck, look at that.
Yeah, 3 dice. Thought he might have tried to blitz him with the Clawman instead, but 3 dice, pretty nice as well, and even just a push really locks off this whole side of the field. So well done, Crucifer. Seanny's going to have a lot of trouble stopping a score from here. On the other hand, he doesn't need to do an awful lot to stop a score, just slow him down a little bit for a turn or two.
And I will say the one criticism I've ever had of Crucifer's play is that at times his offense does just kind of fizzle out for no real reason. Like you'll see with his Chaos Dwarf teams even, like it's just like, well, time for Crucifer to have to roll dice from a winning position for some reason. So it wouldn't be the first time.
Mm-hmm. He's got a large man advantage, so this is one where you would expect momentum to just push him forward into the end zone. When you talk about offenses fizzling out, that's kind of how his first half offense went. It looked pretty strong early and then just kind of didn't go anywhere. I don't think he's going to have that problem again. Also, your microphone is doing weird things. It sounds like you're picking up like some sort of howling wind sound, only a little bit more high pitched.
That's probably because there's a lawnmower outside.
Okay. Well, that can't be helped.
Yeah, that might be it. As for what else it could be, I don't know. I'm using a different microphone this time. It seems to have had better results than when I'm talking to friends. I'm trying to use it here.
Okay.
Because the other, headset microphones, they just die randomly. So somehow.
Oh yeah, it sounds a lot better all of a sudden. Yeah.
$50. Yeah. I leaned forward in a chair like a proper human being.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Huh.
The Seanyy was, I think. Or did he continue to gain rerolls on kickoffs? But I could have sworn.
Yeah, Seanyy gained 2 rerolls just this half.
Yeah. So the leader was already gone, but I mean, this reroll advantage is not going to be relevant in OT.
No, there aren't enough players on the Bretonian side for this to be an 8-turn overtime.
Mm-hmm. Again, it was a weird thing to harp on, but even I brought it up earlier. The difference between a 3 and 4-turn score is that, like, if this was turn 15, which Seanyy being able to stall one more turn, like, this is not good enough, which is insane. This just isn't good enough from the khemri. Like, they have to somehow be further forward, and everything is going well, and it's just still not good enough. That's how much it's put. It's a really weird thing how much difference one turn can make in these quick scores.
You gave him 4 turns and a touchback, and he's completely deleted Sean's team here with removing already like 3 or 4 more players just in this last turn or two.
Yeah.
And he still needed all 4 of those turns.
Yes. Yeah, Sean's gonna try and he's trying to force a blitz to make him go backwards. make it so he can't easily get forward progress. Unfortunately, that probably isn't going to be enough. He probably needs to get a second player on the ball to force anything. But even if he did that, it's going to be just easy blocks. So.
Right. Well, the thing is, Crucifer may be tempted to try and get a couple of assists, make a 3-dice blitz with the Tomb Guardian. It won't be with block, but if he does that, then he doesn't really have a lot of guys to protect the ball as it moves forward. Granted, there are only 3 brets hanging out in the back there, but anything less than a full cage, or even with a full cage, he might try and dodge into it. Just you know. You don't need to do much here. You just need to stop him from getting 1 turn's worth of movement. So Crucifer will want to have the ball in a nice, safe cage right in the middle here somewhere. If he can armor break this blocker in the middle. If not, maybe he's off to the side here and he blitzes the tackle blitzer.
The player does want to move, I believe, 4 squares forward to 4 full. Or a full
2,
4.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 4 squares to not have to GFI.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able.
That was the advantage
of
facing the ball. Is that now he doesn't get a second attempt to get this player knocked over. It's going to be hard, I think, to get that 4 full at this point and be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like what he'll want to do is cut back to the right. He can even go 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can get to right here.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you can build a whole cage right where he's setting up.
All right, perfect. Yeah. Have to cage dive as Seanyy. You have to go for the. Yeah, you have to cage dive here.
Yeah, his 2 heads man is down on the ground, far away. He's out of it. So it's probably it's either this guy or whatever. Doesn't matter too much.
The dodger for the built-in reroll here, so you potentially have the reroll on the block.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can do it from the top. If next to your GFI.
Push down.
No, it isn't.
Or you can get a knockdown, you get a recovery, and you just punt the ball. Probably stand up and move this peasant to start the turn. I don't think you dodge out with the blocker to remove assist. The blocker just stays there.
Yeah, the blocker can't really do anything. It's just this guy comes up and dodges from the top.
Concern about needing to negate chances to get a catch. I don't like this.
No, he's just not even going to go for the ball. He doesn't have enough people to do anything here. I mean, sure, he's based the ball, but whatever. That doesn't really accomplish anything on its own.
Turn 9. This is just this is an easy ball clearance. In fact, I think he might even be able to make it like 3-dice blitzes.
I'm not sure I would risk that. You've got to make some extra blocks without block. Sure, these are 3 dice here to maybe hit him like this.
Yes, I don't think there's a block here that isn't a 1 in 9 failure state.
Well, now they're free to remove because this guy dodged and failed. So...
Not you make these.
One of these guys can come.
Yeah, no, you make a 3-dice block here. And, you assist with him. And then 3-dice splits with the Tomb Guardian. I actually wouldn't have stood up that skeleton. I don't think. Guess he's going to 3-dice splits with the throw row.
Yeah, he'll use the Tomb Guardian. I guess he will. The 3-dice splits with the ball carrier. Which is plenty, so that...
I guess the result is if you get a 1 in 27 into another 1 in 27, you can take the both down and still have a chance to dodge out. So that is the better play in this situation.
Yeah, in general, I never really like to blitz with my ball carrier, just because in a position like that, you can make a dodge with him later if you have to.
Winning the kickoff and perfect KO rolls, which I didn't see, and that's game. So, Seany's not winning this. Seany's going to go down to the lower bracket. You have to make a run there, because I think this is... And he's on defense now. This is well done.
Yeah.
The issue is he's going to need like a blitz or something, and for Crucifer to somehow screw up in that regard.
11 against 6. Not the kind of defense you want to be on.
11 against 6, and the khemri haven't lost any significant player. So, yeah.
They even got their Palmer back. So it feels like just a matter of time. So I guess you go back and look at Shawnee's decision to score when he did. Mistake, or just a little conservative, and very unlucky that it didn't work out. Because it looked like he was not going to have any difficulty stalling another turn. And as you discussed, yeah, that one extra turn would have made a large amount of difference.
Mm.
Maybe
I guess I'm not even sure how Seanyy is able to win here. I think Crucifer has kind of given Seanyy a way in by even playing for these blocks on the LOS. I think if he just done a more conservative setup, like, okay, this kick is not conducive to it, but a kick to the right side and a blitz would have given Seanyy like a way in, where just like fully spreading out his Tomb Guardians wouldn't have. But with this kick,
I think he still
pretty
had the
irrelevant.
blitz. He had the blitz pretty well covered, about as much as you normally would. I mean, it was going to take a blitz and a perfect kick, and then Seanyy still only has 3 guys who can move. One of them isn't really reaching over here.
Well, my thought is that you bring the wrestler. The wrestler just needs to come over to Bright and assist on the blitz raw, who gets blitzed off, and then he has a player with catch 2 heads and get under the ball. Now with catching 2 heads, if it's like a kick, he can just be in scoring range and just roll dice the next turn potentially just to score.
Yeah, and the Tomb Guardians would be tied up and unable to reach him.
Mm-hmm.
But there are enough skeletons free in the background that I mean, it was going to take an absurd level of bad luck for that to work.
I'm just a bit scared. It's kind of unreasonable to be a bit spooked out by a blodger getting the ball with 2 heads when you don't have any tackle on your team.
Yeah,
or wrestle for that matter. Like it's very hard to reliably get a knockdown.
Yeah, and when
especially when all of a sudden, yeah,
and when you're in as good a position as this, you have to start thinking about the unlikely things, because that's the only way you lose, is when something really unlikely happens.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's the exact same setup I would have done, because I can be greedy like that. But when you're watching, it's easier to see that that's maybe a bit. I also think that when you're watching, you always tend to be a bit more conservative than the coaches who are playing are. You're greedy on offense, like, I can stall here, and you're a bit more lax.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bit more conservative on your setups, typically. I find watching games.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, it is hard to put yourself in Shawnee's shoes and say, here's the thing he could have done, and that would give him a win, because there's realistically little or nothing that leads to a win here. But it's res, so there's no great reason to stop trying, and you might as well go for stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's res double limb, so
yeah. I mean, even losing one game doesn't really kill you. You hate to lose, but 8 coaches are going to lose in the first round. That's just how it goes. Yeah, you can claw mighty blow this guy.
Howling blodgers pretty easy. Howling and moving blodgers even easier.
No problem at all.
Full pow.
Really game. Really game. So I'd like to tell you who we're watching next, but I'm afraid I just don't know. Let's go see if Gdanik has figured it out yet. Commentary team. Commentary.
I believe we'll be watching Diomed's second game, whatever game that might be, and I don't know what that game is yet.
Actually, that does sound familiar. Our second game will be Diamond's second round game, wherever that is. Let's see what the bracket says. Let's see if I can find a bracket. There it is. Let's see. All right, so some spoilers, some other games. Colian has beaten Pupak. Random Boy has beaten Shattered Ice. So Diomed is currently playing against Andy Davo. If he wins that game, Diomed would move on to play against Random Boy, and we'd have that. If he loses that game, then let's see, that's the loser of 3. He would be playing Shattered Ice, who has a dwarf team. So Diomed will be playing either Random Boy with Brets or Shattered Ice with dwarfs, and that's the game we will have shortly after this one. Some other spoilers: Elyod with Undead has beaten Ungern 3-0 in a mirror. Anarian with Woodies beat Genie's Humans, but only 2-1, so a little disappointing. And oh dear goodness, Cyber Knights Ogres have beaten Jimmy Fantastic's Dwarfs.
Oh boy. I'm sure Jim's glad that he gets to play another game of Blood Bowl after that.
Yeah. So we saw Jim turn off his stream a little early. Sounds like he got pounded by ogres. You know, the ogres do come into a game with 6 mighty blow. One of them also has claw. If you get some good rolls, and dwarves do have to, they do have to get into a fight, or they're not getting any value out of any of their skills. If you can win that fight, and ogres sometimes can, it's rough, and it looks like that may have been what happened. I don't have any details beyond the final score of 2-1.
It looks like the score will be, you'll be watching Diomed versus Shattered Ice as Andy Davo moves on to the next second round of the winner's bracket.
Okay.
2-1. Looks like we are going to see a GFI finish up the cage here. So even a failed GFI will make it...
Yeah, he's in the way a little bit.
A failed GFI is kind of enough, yeah.
Right. I mean, there's still some dodges you can make.
Yeah. Example of when the dead body is enough to make dodging difficult, or dodging dice anyway.
This wrestle player is just a 3+ dodge away to walk right in here like that. And it'll be 1 dice with wrestle, which is more than you would have expected given the
situation.
Yeah, 5 against 11, but
has to reroll it,
and makes it the second time around. It's all up to 1 die roll, and it's only a push.
He has not had the best luck with these hits on the ball. Crucifer's been a bit generous this game.
Well, he's considering Seanyy was able to knock it free twice in the first half.
Mm-hmm. I would say he's had, I mean, that's probably his 4th hit on the ball now. He's been about 50-50.
Yeah.
So you always kind of feel like you should be like 70 or like 80% of the time. As long as you can get on the ball, you should get it knocked over.
Right. You feel like you got robbed every time you hit the ball, and all you do is push the guy.
Mm-hmm. As I said earlier, the one criticism you'll have of Crucifer's game is that sometimes he gives up dice on his offense for no real good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ball didn't need to move forward that turn. Like it could have just hung out back for 1 more turn and then move forward. It would have been fine.
Yeah, there's no need to rush here.
Mm-hmm.
1, 3, 5, 7, 8. So he could score right now if he wants. And he may try it. It's just a single GFI, but again, it's not all that necessary. It might be now, depending on what happens with this block.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
We talked earlier. That's why you don't reroll that GFI, because there are more important things to be doing.
Get him down. Crucifer may just take the ball and run diagonally to the left, and hope for the best. This guy who has a dodge, but it's not an easy one. And maybe you can free up one of these guys. Oh. No, he's just going to hang out in the middle.
I don't know if I like taking that block. Actually, yeah. Excuse me, I don't think I like to
take
I think I would have blocked the peasant and tried to block the peasant twice to get him off the cage corner, because I don't care about that guy.
He's going to block everybody he can. He's going to take every block.
Yeah.
And eventually get a skeleton free to move forward. Still haven't seen a foul this game. I mean, when you're khemri and you're 5 or 6 players up, that's prime foul-in time.
It's a bit disappointing that the khemri models, or the Tomb Guardian models, are in fact... They are just, mummies with some more tat on them.
Yeah,
so overall, and the skeletons are just skeletons with some more tat on them.
Yeah. No scarabs flying around, but that's about it.
Because overall, the tat, all the tat is pretty good. I just wish the base models were had slightly more going on with them.
Well, this is a company that still hasn't finished making models for their star players.
True.
So, yeah, you don't have to ask for too much. Meanwhile, Seanyy trying red dice with his peasant. It didn't work out. Got a peasant removed. Down to 4 players in the pitch. Crucifer can potato away pretty safely at this point. Not sure what this pause is about. Oh, no, he's just thinking for a while. No rerolls. There's no reason to try and risk GFIs here to try and score early. He's just checking to make sure nobody can reach.
Maybe if it was, if the RW GFI here is if you have a guaranteed 2 or 3 dice on the ball, and it's better to give yourself the 76%, the 69% chance to score than it is to allow an 88% chance the ball is knocked over. I think in that case you do the GFIs, but that isn't the situation here, so there's no pressure on this. Like this Blitz.
Yeah, I don't think you even need to hit this guy, though. But you can, and you did, and knocking him down pretty much guarantees that there's nothing left you can do.
With the skeleton would have been enough just pushing him so that he didn't have a direct line drive to the ball.
Yeah, and this does sort of free up some players that can get in the way. Seanyy is really out of everything. So commiserations to Mr. Sean 18. You are dropping into the losers bracket, but it's double elimination, so you'll have another chance to prove your worth.
All Seanyy can do here is base the ball and hope on a snake eyes and then get a POW on the ball the next turn.
Seems like a bit of a stretch. Let's see.
That's a bit of a dodge.
Where is our game? Crucifer will be moving on to play Elyad with an undead team. Seanyy, as the loser of Game 5, will be playing against Ungern, also with undead.
Seanyy will love it. Going from playing khemri to undead.
And this was the last game going for the round, so we'll be moving into round 2 very shortly.